Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast.
Much more than this, I did it my way.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Vinny Rock Podcast. Today, I have me Brandon Lilly. Brandon Lilly is a accomplished power lifter. And if you guys don't know who he is, it's not hard to find out more about this guy. Just Google his name. You'll find all kinds of podcasts and everything. This dude is a monster, and the reason we became friends is because people kept tagging us together in pictures saying that they reminded us of each other. And so from there, I reached out, and we became buddies. Incredible story, an incredible human being. I'm excited about this podcast. But first, you guys know we have some sponsors. We have some sponsors. GMR Gold. GMR Gold is you can get bullion box at $100 to $200 to $300 monthly. And you'll get silver and gold sent to your house. I'm telling you right now, there's no other better service than these guys. You can call them, you can ask questions, they'll answer. They will take the time to answer any of your questions. Really good people who own the company, and I haven't had any problems with them at all since starting the services. And this is something that I really enjoy with my family, my kids. Next month, I'm excited to see what's coming in. But there's some cool stuff out there. You guys, if you're interested in gold and silver, if you're interested in another way of just putting money away, so you can't spend it fast, you just get that gold and you get that silver and you put it in your savings and you enjoy while you have it. I promise you, it's a really cool program. If you guys like it, check them out. If you guys are interested, ask questions, gmrgold.com or Bullion Box on Instagram. You guys check out GMR on Instagram as well, but it's gmrgold.com. Also, don't forget Core Medical Group. Core Medical Group is the testosterone replacement therapy for those who need it. A lot of veterans, when I first linked up with these guys, a lot of veterans were getting tested for low T. And I said, you know what? This is something that help a lot of veterans. And I thought, let me jump on this myself and see how it works. And I was super happy with it. Still am super happy with it. I continue to use it. I plan to use this for the rest of my life because I have to. And it's good for morale. It's good for all kinds of different things. And I want you guys to know, Core Medical Group has been, hands down, one of the best companies I've ever worked with. They are just genuinely good people. If you guys have questions about testosterone replacement therapy, if you got questions about getting your blood work done, hit me up or hit them up on Instagram. Also, Beyond Clothing. Beyond Clothing is your expeditionary outdoor clothing. They have jackets, long sleeves, short sleeves, pants, all kinds of things you can think of. This is one of the best, hands down, quality gear that you can find out there on the market. I love them. You guys check them out, beyondclothing.com. Incredible company, the people who run it. I mean, you guys here, it's the same exact people. I use them because they're good people. Like all the people that I have as sponsors are good people. It's kind of it seems like a theme here. Like Willie Peach Chocolates, good people. Willie Peach Chocolates makes chocolates out of his own house. This guy is a veteran business right here who makes chocolate from all different Scoville units. I'm talking from spicy to not spicy, with jalapenos, with habaneros, all kinds of different spices, different Scoville units. You check them out. It's a very interesting deal, and people love them. Check them out. Metal Force Fit is shakers for your fitness. I'm going to make some posts here soon about it, but I need to get some more because, sometimes you leave a protein shake in there a little too long and it gets funky. I just throw those out. So they're blender bottles. They're a very quality bottle, and you guys will love them. Check them out. Again, veteran owned. I have another sponsor. Temple 57. Temple 57 is a contracting company. They do security work. I would rather you guys call and get any information that you think you need for anything that comes from work in the contracting space in the California, from protection and everything else. If you guys are interested, give them a call. They can help you out. They're looking for hiring some veterans right now. Check it out. You guys know what to do. This podcast today is a really good one. I just love Brandon Lilly and his message and what he does and where he's gone from. We have similarities in our lives. So check it out. Welcome to the Vinny Rock Podcast. Hey, We're recording. Hey, what's up, guys? Vinny Rock Podcast. I'm here right now with Brandon Lilly. And if you guys don't know who he is, which I'm pretty sure my whole circle of friends and people know who you are because multiple different things. I was getting tagged on a lot of your pics because people were like, dude, I thought this was you. I thought it was like, I wish that was me.
Yeah.
And,
well, I'm glad you say that because if you ever need a body double or anything like that, you just call me. Especially if they get shot in the lower left, the leg or something. Because I got a little pimp limp going on. So
I need to get a little bit big before I start calling you in.
Whatever you need, man. Whatever you need.
Well, dude, man, it's been cool to watch a lot of. I've been following you on social media for years now. And never reached out, just kind of been watching. I reached out one time because I saw a big man jogging, bro. I saw you running, and I was like, dude, this guy knows my world right now of being a big dude and trying to get the miles in.
Yeah, man, dude, that was such it was a transformative time, I guess is the best way to put it, because after my injury, if people don't know who I am, I was a power lifter for a while, 20 years. I mean, it's a pretty good long while. But all that time I was doing different things. I was growing business and coaching. I was still working a full-time job. Anything I could do to just kind of make ends meet, I was doing it, chopping firewood, cleaning cars. And things started to go really well on a competition front. I had a pretty terrible injury in a competition at the Staples Centers in LA. And from there on, it just became this kind of a fight to get back to where I was. And looking at the guys now, I mean, I was one of the top lifters in my moment, but it just became more and more realistic to me that I was never going to be at 80% what these guys were doing at 100%. I was never a guy that it was just completely easy for. I had to work very, very hard to get to the level that I did. And I'm very proud of that. But I was just trying to reconcile what I wanted to do as far as lifting, as far as training, as far as improvement. And, for me, it was a way to start going in a different direction. I tried to run right off the jump, couldn't do it. So I rode and I rode and I rode, and I ended up doing a 100,000 meter row in a day. And I was doing anywhere from half marathons 3 times a week to a marathon once or twice a week with shortened intervals as well. And once I kind of built the lung capacity and just the work capacity to be mobile and moving for 2 to 3 hours at a time, the runs didn't seem so bad. Yeah. So I tell a lot of bigger guys, if you got to kind of walk before you run and run before, or, however that saying goes, crawl before you walk before you run. Well, it was row before I run. And once I finally got to the meat and bones of running, I enjoyed it in a way that I didn't really understand, because all my world for 20 years, as far as lifting, was just as hard as I can go for 1 or 2 seconds, lift as much weight as possible, to this kind of almost meditative rhythm of like, you got to pace yourself for 2 hours.
Well, let me know this. You have records, right? Don't you have records? I mean, you've lifted extreme amounts of weight, and maybe not records, but your personal best. I was listening the other day on another podcast. I mean, you're squatting high numbers, bench 600.
Yeah, at the time, my numbers were federation records. They were records within specific groups, weight class, et cetera. And then around the time of my injury is when, so my best total was 2237. That was an 843 squat, a 579 bench, and a 810 deadlift in competition. My best lifts were 848, 602, and 840 in the 3 lifts as a maximum. And that's raw with the belt and knee wraps. I did more than that in multiply gear. But the gear's a little bit supportive. So, yeah, I mean, as far as ranking, the 3 or 4 years that I was at my best, I was ranked in the top. We'll just say this. I was ranked in the top 2 or 3 in multiple divisions. I've always been a strong guy, I guess, in my competition arena, because when I was 19 years old at 219 pounds, I was squatting and pulling over 600. I was benching over 400. But you contrast that with at 16, when I tried to squat 135 for the first time and literally fell straight to the ground. Yeah. There's a repetition here of falling to the ground with squats on my back. So I've always been good at doing that. But no, man, it's really cool, because lifting weights, there's immediate feedback loop. If you pick something up, it's a positive. If you miss something, it's a learning point.
Yeah.
And that's really what I've used to kind of guide myself in life and in business. It's like, if something's not working and you keep getting the same result, it's probably not going to work the next time around you try it too. And as a man, it took me a long time to learn that lesson. But as a lifter and a business person, I quickly adapted. But as a man, I think I had too much pride a lot of times. I wanted to just keep bulling through. And that ended up being the worst thing in the world for me, because sometimes in the gym, I did learn that I could bull through, you know. But as a man, you've got to be kind of like that Bruce Lee video where he talks about being like water. Sometimes you got to be hard. You got to be soft. So I'm very much learning to be soft and, loving and caring, and just a whole different outlook on life now.
Yeah. Well, here's something I want to ask you. Someone who's their whole life has been a look. You wake up in the morning and you look. I immediately wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror and fucking hate myself, right? Like,
right. Yep.
But I've done this my whole life. I track it all the way down to, I remember my mother at a young age was showing me some bodybuilders like, Vinny, you can do this. You can do this. And me wanting to please my mom, I started lifting weights.
Right.
And then it continued that way. Now I'm blaming her for it. Like she knew I was always athletic and trying to do weird shit. So that was like a cool outlet for me. But I really fell in love with bodybuilding. Never bodybuilded, but I like to lift weights. But I did fall in love with bodybuilding and the culture of it and everything. But in doing that, I really hated the way I looked. And I still to this day cannot stand what I look like. Even when I'm in shape, I'm in shape, I don't even notice it. I'm like, oh, dude, right. Terrible. And then right now I'm in really bad shape compared to what I was 3 years ago. Now I'm like, I fucking wish I was that guy. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering for you, do you still struggle with that as being, because when you're a big guy sometimes and you lose weight, you get guys coming up to you being like, bro, you're looking small, and that shit irritates the fuck out of me, right? Because I used to be, I would walk around 280, right now I'm in the 260. I would love to be down at 240. I just don't know personally, emotionally, I can deal with being 240 because I like being able to bench 400, and I don't think I can at 240. The way it was at 280, I was like, oh, I got it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you deal with that, man? How do you personally?
So that's a long answer. So I'll try to condense it down. But for me, when I look at things and people ask me all the time, I tell people, or I used to tell people, I left the sport of powerlifting with two goals on the table. And that was a 400 kilo deadlift, 881, and a 2,300 pound total. But the truth of the matter is, those numbers seemed impossible when I started. So I didn't even set those as my original goals. My original goals were a 2,000 pound total, an 800 deadlift, and a 550 bench, and so on. But as we get better, we start to have this sliding scale, right? Like, oh, well, I've made, I'm just throwing this number out there as a goal point, but like, let's say somebody makes $1 million. They're not just going to walk away and retire and say, oh, made $1 million, I'm done. Right. Because the first dollar you spend, you're no longer a millionaire. Yeah. Like you may be wealthy, but you're no longer a millionaire if you stop at $1 million. So what happens is, okay, well, I got to 1. Can I get to 5? Okay, I got to 5. Can I get to 10? Yeah. And that's the same way it is for powerlifting. It's like there's always going to be more. You can always slide a little bit more weight on the bar. So when I really started kind of getting low, I know exactly what you're talking about, because as men who are strong, as men who are, proud, I would say, our body is definitely a visible part of who we are. And I think that we want to be this all-encompassing, and I can't say warrior in this modern mentality of society right now, because warriors are reserved for guys like yourself that did, that were military, and guys that were willing to put themselves on the line, whether they went to battle or not. Those are the guys I reserve that kind of terminology for. So for me, I just want to be a capable human. I just want to be a capable man. And if that means learning how to start fires and build a camp and do those kind of things, so be it. Like, that satisfies something within inside me that I don't really know why it satisfies it, but it does.
Right.
So I get it on my own level now, where I'm pretty adept at taking care of myself, but I still challenge myself to do more. Still like, man, I have so much to learn. On and on, like, especially when you're around a guy like Rudy Reyes or Brady Cervantes. But those guys become measuring sticks in a positive way now. So to get back to your point about feeling, when I fell, I was 335 pounds and ultimately got up to like 340 pounds. And when I was 340, I felt like I wasn't a horrible 340, but I was huge. I mean, I was a very, very large human being. And that allowed me to bench 600. It allowed me to pull over 840 or right at 840 and squat in the 800s. And I was like, somebody asked me very recently, like, would you like to pull 900? And I was like, well, if I could walk over here, maintain my life structure as it is, feel great every day, be able to spend time with my family, my friends, go to a concert every week, be able to do all these things, I would love to walk over there and pull 900 pounds. But at the point of 20 years, fully invested, messing up relationships, breaking friendships, being isolated because of my sport, that 900 pounds doesn't look so appealing to me right now, So to get back to the meat and potatoes of this answer, I am a big guy still. Like, I am a big guy. I've trimmed way down. I'm in the 270s, 280 range right now. So I'm a little bit heavier than you are, but I was 340. So yes, when I started losing weight, man, you look smaller, man. Are you okay? You sick? Blah, blah, blah. And then eventually at some point it got to the point where it was like, man, you look great. Like,
you look good. Yeah.
Dude, you look awesome. Like, holy shit, look at those clothes. And it's not the clothes that make the man, but it's the confidence to know that, okay, it's kind of like when a woman's growing her hair out, there's that weird intermittent stage. And that's probably where you're at right now, is like, if I could just get like 10 pounds better, 15 pounds better, dude, all this would go away, because then you're trading this desire for more weight on the bar for, okay, my girl's looking at me a little different. My friends are looking at me a little different. Man, this shirt looks good as hell. So when you get these positive reinforcements, I think you just kind of have to run with them. And as a man, it's very hard to, in this society, boast that you feel good or boast that you look good, because then you're just that stereotypical male, right?
Yeah, then you start getting labeled as a douchebag and just post a picture of your abs, right? But you're like, hey, man, I'm kind of proud of these abs.
But the question I ask right now, and I'm actually in the middle of doing something for Summer Strong, for Sornex. We're about a month away from Sornex Summer Strong, and that's one of our flagship events. And man, this whole entire, from Thanksgiving to Christmas to my birthday in March till now, like, I've just really been invested in my friendships and my life and traveling. So when I'm out and I'm, on the road or whatever, I know that dinner's going to be something popping, as it is too. Yeah. Like that's where a lot of business happens. It's where a lot of like real important stuff happens, is dinner. So I kind of intermittent fast in the morning. I usually start with eggs and fruit, very simple breakfast, eat something around 2 or 3. And then I just kind of save all my calories for the dinner. And it's not ideal, and I'm a little bit further away from where I'd like to be than I should be. But going into Summer Strong, I gave myself a month to lose 10 pounds. If I lose 10 pounds the right way, working hard every day, following my diet, I know that 10 pounds is going to look more like I lost 15 or maybe 18 pounds. So, because I know my body and I know how I adjust. But it's also, I want to be a little bit better all the time. But at the same time, I would not trade abs for the fun that I've had in the last 6 or 8 months. So I think it just comes down to that, man. It's hard. It's definitely hard to know that I can, at one point in my life, lay down and bench 600 without question, to be able to squat 700-800 pounds without question. And now sometimes it's like, man, I question even standing up out of a chair if this knee's going to hold, but it's actually doing pretty good. So, I just, I try not to let what the world sees me as impact me as much as I really see myself as. And if I can get honest, like, man, I loved the last 6 to 8 months of my life. Like, I loved every second of it. I've wrung every single bit of good out of it. Is that worth trading for abs? Maybe down the road, but, from a standpoint of just fatigue and everything, like the last 6 months have been brutally fast paced, but they've also been some of the best days of my life. So I think you're always going to be this ebb and flow of, okay, I look good now, but man, Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving's coming. I got to enjoy myself a little bit, and you deserve it, dude. Like, all the good shit that you've got going on right now and all the hard shit that you've been through, enjoy those Twinkies, enjoy that pie, but it can't be forever,
You know how tough it is? Like, it's funny being in social media and being just being a face in social media. It's hard to call yourself an influencer. It's hard to call yourself anything other than just a dude on social media with a lot of followers.
Yep.
So everybody calls out every little thing,
Yep.
And not even that, understand my background is very similar to what you have too. Is you have a very notable background and has established yourself in the fitness world. Well, I, on the military side, was in special operations, then was a field sergeant, then was special operations in the Border Patrol. Everything I've done was a special operations world. So I've always been a very physically fit person. And then getting out of the military was hard, but I figured it out right away. I got back into lifting, and I just got back into it. I started competing and doing triathlons and all this stuff. And then I got out of the Border Patrol, and that was the beginning of all the issues I've had, weight issues. Because
do you feel like you got lost without that structure?
100%.
Yeah.
I knew I was training for a mission, right? In your head, it's I have to be good for my guys to the left and right of me. And so that's a lot of motivation. And then when you don't have that anymore, well, it's I just got to be home for my kids. You know what I mean? And then it got really easy to just get comfortable with not doing anything.
Yeah.
As I started lifting again, I'm not sure if you know this story, but I started getting back into shape and everything was good. This is about 3 years ago now. Started leaning down again. I started running again, and I was really happy with the way my body was looking. I was actually just met my lady, right? Just met my wife. And so I'm really working hard to try and look good for her, you know? And then my heart went out, dude. It went out of rhythm. I'm considered now AFib.
Yep.
So it went out of rhythm. Got restarted, cardio version, everything you could think of, man. And I was in the hospital for 4 days, and that was the downfall of emotionally being so scared to do that again.
Yep.
And so it took about a year and a half for me to have the confidence in working out again the way I used to.
Yeah.
And then boom, it did it again.
Yep.
And so now we're at the probably 1 year mark from the last time I've been restarted, maybe even a little less than that. And I just started working out again. I started I'm all right, diet first, get the diet right. And everything kind of follows. So once I get my diet right, usually 5 pounds just starts to fall right off.
Yeah.
It gets about probably 10 pounds will come off. And then from there, it's all right, now start working.
Yep.
And it's always discouraging to think if I start again, that moment was right before they shocked me is the scariest moments of my life, right? Because it's a very small chance I might not wake up. And then I'm well, then I started thinking what brought me to this point? And it's always it's an imbalance of minerals in my body that throw my heart off is what it is.
Right. Yeah. No, dude, I get it because I've had 16 surgeries on my left knee, and it just seems like a blur, but I want to say that there were 9 of those surgeries that were for infection and 7 were corrective, they were actually doing repair. Because when you have an infection, this is what I didn't understand for a long time. I would know that there's probably something wrong with my knee. Okay, something doesn't feel right. It clicks when I step. It's not straightening out, blah, blah, blah. So that was when I would go into surgery, they'd be okay, you've got an infection, and we're gonna fix your knee. And I was great. While you're in there, can you do this? And they're no, we don't touch anything else but the infection, because then we can aggravate and cause more infection. It didn't make sense to me. Pissed me off. Frustrated me to no end. But every single time that I got an infection, it was on the heels of. So to back up, for me, where I was as a man, I was so invested in this sport, and I had just this trail of destruction in my life where I just, hurt people and left people and all this kind of stuff to better myself as an athlete. I thought at some point, if I lifted enough weight or, got enough recognition, because there's really not money in the sport. There's money peripheral to it through coaching and things like that. But I thought if I achieved success in a relative term, that everybody would be it makes sense now. Now I see why he was an asshole. Now I see why he didn't come home on Thanksgiving, to see his family, blah, blah, blah. There's never going to be a day where that makes sense to anybody, by the way.
Yeah. It does to us. It does.
Yeah, it does to us. Right. Well, we justify it, right?
Right.
So anyhow, every single time that I would get to the point of where, for me, I was rehabbed, which meant lifting big weight again, I could do that for a month, maybe 6 weeks, and then my knee would get infected. And the doctor literally told me, one of the last surgeries, maybe number 12 or 13, he said, I've never seen a guy want it as much as you want it. But every time that you get to the point where you're actualizing what you want, your body's going to fail you. Your body is going to turn on you and say, we can't do this anymore. So you talk about an alienation, not only from my body to my mind. Like, I hated my body. Like, I was mad at my physical body because it's like, you're failing me. In my mind, I did the hard part. That's the part that everybody struggles with, is the mind part. Like, getting under this weight again and again. Shit, dude, let's go. Like, I'm ready. My body just wouldn't do it. And so the doctor started talking to me a little more psychological, and he was like, you have to slow this down. And you think you're tough now with your mindset? He said, how tough are you going to be to build your body back the right way? Not the way that you know how, but the right way.
The healthier way.
Exactly. So around that 13th, 14th surgery, and again, I had several surgeries in close proximity. So when I say surgery 11 and 12, that might be one set of surgeries within a 4-week period.
Yeah.
A lot of my surgeries were like double taps. Like, they'll do one, they'll get me healed and settled, and then they'll go right back in. So around the 13th, 14th surgery, I had the option to go into the hospital. My knee was huge, and I was kind of joking with the doctor. I said, hey, doc, here to fix me up again? He said, no, Brandon, I'm here to save your life. He said, if you wake up without your leg, I saved your life. And I had laid on the couch for 2 days, cold shaking, cellulitis in the lower part of my leg. I knew what it was, but I didn't want to admit it. Like, I'm gonna will my way through this fever. And
you could have killed yourself.
Exactly. Well, I almost did. I mean, honestly, and that's, the doctor even got emotional with me a little bit. And he's a guy that is the lead sports surgeon for many of the SEC football teams. And he was like, kid, I wish that I could fix you in a way that would fix you. Yeah. But you're going to have to fix yourself. Like, it was hard, because this is a hardened dude. This is a guy that works on $1 million knees, guys that are much faster, stronger, going to make more money than I ever will. And he's just looking at me like, he felt like he was part of the problem, because he would put me back together, and then I would just go break myself down again. Yeah. So it just became, dude, I think it's been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, is to really find a way to let my body and my mind jive again, and the only thing that ever brought that peace for me was the hiking and the getting outside and camping and pushing myself in ways that I can't with a barbell anymore. I mean, people ask me all the time, why don't you post your workouts? Why don't you post your workouts? One, I'm totally okay with what I do in the gym. I love it. Like, I do Tabatas, I do kettlebell work, I do yoga. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff that people classify as feminine or girly, but I do it in a way that it works for me and it makes me happy. But the same thing is, when I post that video, I have to answer the same questions over and over and over. And I'm just tired of answering questions about choices that are positive for my life. It's like, okay, I'm not drinking as much anymore. Like, I'm not smoking weed like I was anymore. I'm not doing these things. Not saying that there's anything wrong with them, but when they become a Band-Aid rather than a part of the solution, that's a real problem. And I was a Band-Aid guy. Like, oh, I can't sleep, so here, have that double bourbon. Oh, that's not enough, have another double bourbon. It's
crazy how people through social media or however it is, just through a following, feel that their opinion matters. And it drives me nuts sometimes, because one guy was like, you like pineapples on your pizza? I was like, sometimes. Are you kidding me? I'm like, motherfucker, I eat a pizza however the fuck I want. Like, what the fuck?
When did that become a thing? Like, this anti-pineapple movement. I mean, I get it. Like, it's the wrong way, but you know what? The first time I ever had that, I was at my friend's house, and I thought, okay, this is kind of crazy. This is kind of out there. It was literally one of the best nights of my life. It was one of the best pizzas of my life. And it's like, if I'm on such a level now, dude, and I don't mean that like in above or below. I'm just saying I'm in a mind state right now. If something makes you happy and it doesn't bother me, I want to learn about it, because it might make me better. Like, all these people that are out there saying that it's no good, it's no good. I wonder if they've even tried it.
Bro, it's the funny thing to me is, like, I just tell this guy, like, bro, I'm a grown man. I make my decisions. I cry during movies more than my fucking wife probably does. Like, I don't give a fuck what anyone, there's no shell that I fit into. That when people try and throw these things at me, like, oh, that's not what Rangers do. Like, what do you know what a Ranger does, bro? Like, It's another human being. I do whatever the fuck I want, man.
Well, I think it's hard, because I followed you too. And I think it's hard for people to, in this hyper like labeled society, we have feminists and then we have feminists that look down on those feminists. And then there's feminists that, you know what I mean? It's like, we're fighting for the same things, but we're arguing with each other. So I think in a world where we like try to, okay, Brandon Lilly is like these group of guys. So that's who I'm going to identify him as. And when you're one of these people that you can't really box in, I think it causes problems, not only for the people that receive you, but also it can be like turmoil for yourself, because it's like, I'm always one step behind in actuality of what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So like, we're talking about my hats. Like I've got some really awesome hats. Dude, I want one that's fucking this big and got car horns on it. Christmas, like, dude, I want the biggest, flashiest hat in the world, but it's like I'm not there yet. So I'm kind of in my motivation.
Your hat guy hadn't called me yet. Just so you know.
I'll make sure he does. Actually, I'll text him right now just so you can see.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, Brandon has this dope hat. And I said, bro, like, I don't want to copy your style because your style is your style, but the hat, the authentic looking rustic look, I want a cowboy hat like that so fucking bad. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's why I hit you up, man.
Oh, I'm texting him right now. Well, that's so my guy is Gunner Fox, and he makes a lot of hats for a lot of people. I just texted him literally.
Cool. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know where my profile went, where you are, but
you're good.
There we go. Yeah, I texted him, but he got slammed with some business because we were talking about getting down to see him, and he's like, I just got the crazy order. So probably some kind of movie or something. I'm sure you guys will cross paths in some way, shape, or form.
I'm sure.
He makes a lot of hats for like Jason Momoa, Zach Brown. He just did what's his name, DeAndre Jordan for the Rockets.
Yeah,
he flew Gunner down there to outfit some of the guys on the team.
I just told my wife that's what I want for my birthday. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure it happens because my brother, hope he doesn't hear this, but we've organized to get him one for his birthday too. Cool. So yeah, and my brother, the cool thing about my brother, so I've got two brothers. There's me, who whatever you want to call that, and then I got another brother who is gay, and he's very just put together, got a style, and just a super good heart. And then you've got my other brother who's like Andy Griffith, like pants pulled up to his waist.
You guy that wears the white shoes with the white socks, Dad. You're like, yo. Yeah,
but see, part of my deal coming back with my family and kind of reuniting and fixing those relationships, I learned that my brother Corey, he owns his own business. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. He's like, man, I didn't even know who you were, like, because we're 10 years apart. They're twins, and they're 10 years younger. So, when they're 8 years old, I'm 18. So we never really had that clicking relationship. So coming back around, we've got this relationship going on. We're traveling together. We're seeing shows together. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And dude, I've seen him loosen up, like just kind of let go a little bit. And he picked up one of my first hats I ever got. And he was like, I like this one. I was like, well, wear it. So he wore it out, dude. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe when he wore it out. And just to see that if I can change in this circle of my family, like my dad is lightened up, my mom is more open, and it's not me, but it's me being here. It's me being a part of it. Right. And I'm a person who likes to push the envelope. My family is very conservative. Yeah. So when I nudge them into a different restaurant than they're normally used to going to, or I bring them to a show that they would never go to, or we go on a vacation to like Salt Lake City, I brought everybody out to Salt Lake. 7 of the 11 people had never been on a plane. But a plane is a very common thing for me. Like I'm zigzagging the country, the world. So by sprinkling that little bit of myself into their life, I feel like their lives have gotten better. But at the same time, I don't need to go to a 5-star restaurant because my mom's cooking. Like I ain't got to go nowhere else. Mom's throwing down for dinner. So I think that when we sit here and we try to talk about changing ourselves and changing the world and this, that, and the other, I really, really have dwindled it down to the belief that changing yourself is paramount, not to make me better or brighter or whatever, but to know who I am. That's how I want to change. I don't want to be a bullshit artist. I don't want to be a person that says, I'm Brandon Lilly, this power lifter, this. I'm Brandon Lilly. Take me as I am. That's what I want to get to. And if I can love myself enough for who I am and what I am, and understand that, the last 6 months I ate too much pizza or drank too much beer or had too much fun, that's okay, because I know within myself the next 6 months I'm going to grind. I'm allowed to have that back and forth, and that trickles down to my family. Like, my family has been so, like, if you listen to podcasts 5 years ago, I never talked about my family. I never mentioned them because I was distanced. That was just a total alienation. But now 3-4 nights a week, especially when I'm home, dude, it's as good as it gets to be around them and do stuff with them,
You're from Kentucky, right?
Yep. I'm from Kentucky. I've lived in Ohio. I've lived a little bit here and there. California was a flirtation for a little while to live there. But I just felt like in so many ways I needed to get back to the point of, ground zero of my life, so to say.
Are you living in Kentucky again?
Yeah, I live in Kentucky.
What city? What area, if you don't mind?
So, truth be told, it's called Paint Lick. It's a little bitty town. More people would know Berea. It's a small college town, but just for the average listener that's listening, Lexington. I'm right in the heartbeat of Kentucky. I'm smack in the middle. But there's been so much good here because there is so much outdoors. Not like what you guys have out in Utah. I mean, you guys have hot.
I'm going to trip you out, though. So I played baseball in Kentucky. I lived in Owensboro, Kentucky for about.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, bro.
I love Owensboro.
I fell in love with Kentucky, and actually that's where I played a lot of ball out there, and it's the first time I got out of LA.
Yeah.
And really got to somewhere that was different. I was different there. I was a Hispanic man that spoke just normal, like from LA. That wasn't like a migrant worker. So I was different to everyone. They're like, look at this.
Yep.
Who the fuck is he? Everyone was super kind and the hospitality and everything. It was just like that country love was beautiful out there too. And I fell in love with Kentucky. I actually told myself I was going to move back there one day, and I never did because I ended up finding other cities like Utah, right? Like Utah to me is very, very similar.
Yeah.
And so, man, I love Kentucky, man. I used to go to some of the games. I went to the Derby. I've done the Derby. I've done I've gone to Louisville games. I lived in Owensboro for a while, man.
Dude, there's something so good about what you're talking about, and like, it's real easy to get drawn into the flashing lights of a big city and things like that. And don't get me wrong, dude, when I'm in a city, like I was just in Atlanta for the weekend. Love Atlanta. Like, anybody that's hating on Atlanta, you don't know where to go, because that is one of my top favorite cities in the world, especially right now in the spring when it's still cool down there. Dude, it's amazing.
Before it gets humid.
Yeah, exactly. But Kentucky, man, it's just got so much good stuff going on that, I mean, I'm 2 hours from anything that I want to do. Yeah. 2 hours from Red River Gorge, 2 hours from Mammoth Cave. I'm 2 hours from, an hour and a half from Louisville. I'm an hour from Lexington, which is like a smaller Louisville that's growing into its own. Yeah. So, it's just, dude, I'd love to have you out here. Seriously, I'd love to have you out here. And
anytime, man, I would love to. I actually went to drill sergeant school at Fort Knox.
Yeah, I was just at Fort Campbell. I was just at Fort Campbell not too long ago, and I've been to Fort Knox when I was younger. I haven't been an adult, but I've got some invites from some guys that train there or stationed there, and that's always such a cool thing to get to connect with those guys and share myself. Dude, I used to think, man, I just want to get out of Kentucky. I just want to get out of here, and I needed to get out to realize that any place you are and who you are is exactly what you make it.
Yeah.
And I was always chasing money. I was always chasing notoriety. I was always chasing all these other things. But now, as a person that's just chasing peace of mind, happiness, contentment, Kentucky's exactly what I'm looking for. So I don't try to dissuade anybody from leaving. Like, if you got to go. Yeah. But keep your eye on the fact that you can always come back too, Yeah,
it's crazy, man. So I used to travel playing baseball at a young age, and the first time I went to Kentucky was on a travel team, and I was about 16, 17 years old. And the first time I ever heard country music was then. And the first song I heard was Tim McGraw's "Don't Take the Girl."
Yeah.
Dude, and that right there changed it. I came back home listening to country music, and people were like tripped out. They're like, dude, what do you listen to? Because everyone listens to Tupac and all the East Coast, West Coast stuff, and I'm listening to country music. And still to this day, I'm a diehard country fan. I love country music. And everyone trips out when they get in my car. It's country music first. I have all my hip hop. I love it all the time. But like country music for me is something I like to raise my kids on as well. I feel like it's a little bit more wholesome than what you're going to hear on the radio and other stations, you know? And so that's what
you know, dude, I respect that a lot because for the first few years of my life, for the first few years of my son's life, you know, I was very much about myself. Like I was very much, okay, this is the song I want to listen to. So that's what we're going to listen to. And now it's like, man, I'm responsible for this kid. Like I don't want to be, and I'm not knocking anybody out there doing anything that you're doing. I'm talking about for my life and my son, just sitting here thinking, all right. So he went to middle school this year.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a whole new wave of language, a whole new wave of ideas. It's a whole new wave of reality for him.
Uh-huh.
And it's not like I'm trying to pull him back, but it's like I'm trying to counter all this negative. Because, dude, school is one thing, but like middle school is hard. I'm telling you, middle school.
I have two right now, and I'm telling you, my son, my 11-year-old son.
My son's 11. Yeah.
He's going through hell, dude. He's going through hell. And I keep saying, like, bro, you got to, because he's getting bullied, but also the girls things is awkward. And for my son to get bullied is hard for me because I'm a fighter my whole life. And I'm like, bro, just punch the dude in the fucking face. I promise you. And he's like, no, Dad. And it's not him. And I get it. So I'm like, it's cool. Yeah. Tell me. He goes, no, Dad, I don't want you to handle it. I'm like, all right, well, then tell someone, like, do something, bro. And it is a hard time for him, man, because he also is socially awkward. He eats alone. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He you know, his style is different. His mind is different. And I love him for it. But I don't want him to be emotionally ruined because of these kids. You know, it's a hard time, right?
Well, you know, I think for me, gosh, I'm 37. So it's like, I only feel like I got my feet under me for the last 5 or 6 years. You know, I don't want my kid to go through 32, 34 years where he doesn't feel comfortable with who he is and know who he is and have this. So there's a part of me that's like, man, I wish that he was a little more like me. But then I look at myself and it's like, damn, if he's just like me, it's going to be hard. Like, you know, it's going to be a hard road. And I wish that, I admire him so much because he's one of these kids that gets the kindness award. He gets like the good neighbor award and stuff like that. And that was shit that I made fun of when I was in school. But at the same time, like who he is now, it may cause him a little bit of grief at school, but the saving grace for him is he's a good football player. He's a good baseball player. So he kind of bypassed some of that 6th grade hazing a little bit because he was playing. So he's got that side to him. And I've started to see that fire come out a little more and more. Yeah. But man, if his heart stays happy and his heart stays light, because dude, I'm a guy that can get dark real quick. Not like in a violent, bad way. Like I've been violent and I've been bad, but like I can really get introverted real quick, you know? Yeah. And I don't want him to be like that. I don't want him to ever feel alone. I don't ever want him to feel like locking himself in his room is better than being outside, you know? And for me, that was a lot of who I was in my teenage years because I was just mad at the world. I don't even know why I was mad, but I was mad at everybody. Yeah. And to see him at 11 years old, his like one of the first questions he asked me when he comes to me, he's like, "Dad, how was your day?" I never, like 37 years old, I didn't ask my dad that till like 36. You know what I mean? But he just got a good heart, and kid talks about his day. Kid talks about everything. And I'm learning a lot about life through him, which is freaking crazy, dude. Yeah, man. So I have 6. I have 4 that I have full custody of, and then my wife has her 2, but I've been raising them all. You know what I mean? So they're with us full time, and it's I've always said from the beginning, my kids are what's given me life. You know what I mean? My daughter, I joined the military because after baseball didn't work out in Kentucky, I tried out for a couple independent teams. I tried out for the Evansville Otters. I got cut. I tried out for several Louisville Bats. I got cut. All these different teams, and I ended up just joining the military to be able to support her financially. But then in that, while I was doing that, I was making the decisions like you in lifting. You focus so much on it, like everyone around you didn't give a shit.
I did the same thing for fucking many, many years, dude. And many years of like, fuck everybody. If I bring home the check, I'm doing my job as a dad. I got to go do my job. You know what I mean? And so I was more interested in kicking in the door or protecting my dudes in combat or in training or being there, part of the group, and paying the checks. I was cool. But then I started missing out on my kids' lives. And I realized that, dude, I didn't realize that until 2015 is where I finally was like, all right, pump the brakes. You know what I mean? Like, my kids deserve a father. My daughter was like, Dad, I didn't know you're a funny guy. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know me then, because I feel like I am more – I make fun of everything in life that happens to me more than I am serious about it, because I'm like, like you know, and that's how and so for my kids not to know who I am as a person was a heartbreaker for me, dude. And that's why I changed a lot of my life. That's why now 99% of everything I do is say no to work and yes to family, always. You know what I mean? Like, that's fuck everybody. I don't care about drinking. I don't care about nothing else but like being there watching. Last night I was at my son's game and he fucking pitched his first game ever and I missed it because I was picking up my daughter. But I showed up and he goes, Dad, 2 strikeouts, ball the game. Like, and I'm like, bro, this is like the best day of my life as a college pitcher, watching my son he had his first, I don't know, man. It's a different world now, man.
It is. And it's at a point now where, you know, I look at my life and I look at the things that I've done and I look at the places that I've been, and all I want, like all the good that has come from that, is that I can come back here with information and share that with my kid, you know, because for so long I was chasing this carrot, you know, that's right here that is unattainable. It's never, I mean, even listen to me about the lifting. Like, once you hit a lift, you go up 5 pounds. Like, that's the next goal. That's the carrot. And then it was a financial carrot. Then it was how many clients can I attain carrot? And it was all of this stuff. And I'll tell you what, man, I've told this story before, but it's a very powerful story in my life. It was the day that I'd had like 10 surgeries at this point. My family was really just like, man, guy's got some problems. Like, he can't give this up, you know. But I was so close to a 600-pound bench, and I wanted to do that. So I was literally killing myself, like, just to get this done. So I run back. I bench it. I hit the bench. Good lift. Had some really, you know, recognizable names that I looked up to that were announcing the event. So it was like this perfect moment kind of thing. So I'm on a high. You know, I call my family, and I call and talk to my son. I said, hey, Daddy bench 600 pounds. First time I've ever done it. I did it. And he was like, oh, that's cool, Dad. I finished my Lego set. And I was talking to his mom, who, by the way, is one of the greatest people in the world. His mom was amazing. And we were talking, and I said, he didn't really seem that excited, you know, that I bench 600 pounds. She said, all your weights look big to him. You know, you were Superman the day he was born. You just had to show up. And when she said that, like, she wasn't being mean. She wasn't calling me out. But it was like, man, I've wasted all this time trying to be a man, when being a man is being there for your kid, being there to do these things. And it was just like one of those moments where it just took the wind out of my sails, and not in a bad way. It just made me look at myself a lot differently. Like, how much more weight do I have to lift to feel accomplished? How much more do I have to do to really feel like, okay, my son is.
When are you going to be satisfied? Right.
Exactly. Well, and then, you know, at that time, I knew a lot of things about my son. I knew a lot of the shows that he watched. I knew the foods that he liked. I knew the things that he enjoyed to do, but I didn't enjoy them with him. You know, like, when I would have him and we're watching TV, okay, you watch that and I'm over here on my laptop, or I'm over here on my phone, or whatever. And that's totally excusable sometimes.
Right.
But when I started putting the phone down, when I started setting the laptop down, and I started sitting with my arm around him watching the shows, or I started letting him help me cook dinner, or I started doing things with him that way, dude, it was just like we went hyper speed into like closeness. Yeah. You know, things evolved at such a way that became my new passion. That became the new thing for me to seek out, was like, okay, he doesn't really like this. Maybe I can show him how I do it and we can like it together. Yeah. And there's been a lot of that, because there's stuff that he does. Like, he's into a lot of these erector sets and these kinetics and the Legos and stuff. And I was into it to make stuff to tear up. Like, when I was a kid doing Legos, I just made it to like swing a baseball bat into them and break them or something like that. But with him, it's just real methodical. He loves puzzles. He loves mathematics. He's got, like, I'm looking right now, he's got 6 Rubik's Cubes of different sizes and shapes right in front of me. So his brain's always working like mine is. I always feel like mine's going 100 miles an hour. But where I'm thinking about life's unknowns, he's thinking about problem solving. Like, how can I fix this puzzle? How can I build this erector set? How can I solve this? So our brains are similar, but they're different. And, dude, finding that wavelength where we jive is one of the best things in the world. And, like, I got one of those Deemer boxes that we all carry around from Sornex, and it's like a waterproof boom box. And just giving him my phone, letting him play his music that I cannot stand, but it's him, like it makes his heart beat faster. Yeah. And I got to be excited about that. Whether I love it or hate it, I got to love it because it's him, Yeah. And I'm learning to love it. And it's because we're sitting here dancing, or we're sitting here talking, or we're sitting here whatever. And then guess what? I throw on a little Al Green or a little Otis Redding or a little Tyler Childers, and he listens to that too. Like, we were listening to, we got to Try a Little Tenderness the other day. And I saw his head in the back just bobbing a little bit, and it's just good, man. It's so good to, I wish I could say this, and this is just a message to anybody. No matter where your life is, there's somebody that loves you, and you got to invest in those people that love you when you don't love yourself. Because I am not sitting here talking to you today. I talked about it on Instagram. 4/12 of 2016 was the lowest day of my life. Okay. Yeah. I had a pistol in my mouth, and I just sat there and I thought, man, what a waste this would be. And it would be, what a waste it would be if it ended right now. Yeah. So I promised myself I'm going to give it all I got. So here we are 3 years later, and in 3 years, from a point of like absolution where I couldn't even imagine tomorrow, I'm 3 years later, dude, and I'm smiling. I'm talking to you. I'm happy as like life is freaking awesome, man. And I don't look at this. We're out picking wildflowers. like that's what happened 5 years ago. You know what I mean? But it was Easter, and we just went through a field and picked some flowers, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, man.
That's good, man. That's beautiful. Dude, Rob Bailey was here, and I introduced him to my son, but I've been listening to the beat, what is it? The Beast song that they have. Yeah. And I have the version where it's no cursing in it, right?
Right.
So me and the boys have been rocking that for years, dude.
Yep.
And so my son's with me, and Rob, I pick up Rob, and we're talking, and I was like, I put the song on, and my son's singing, and I told my son, I was like, you know who this is? He's like, who? I was like, that's who sings this. And he's just like, oh, it was like one of the coolest moments that me and then Rob was like, that's cool, you listen to it with your kids. I'm like, yeah, well, this is one of the songs before we went to like wrestling matches. Do it, and it was a cool thing, man. It's just, I don't know, there's these things, little things like that I will always remember for the rest of my life because of the look on my kid's face of joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a beautiful motivator, and that's what's motivated me, and I think that's a lot of what's motivating you to continue on with your little path that you're taking as well, man.
Absolutely, man. And, it affords me, because Sornex, the company I work for, people ask me a lot of times what I do with them. I was able to work with them in a capacity where I get to continue my coaching, continue my public speaking, continue my networking capabilities under the umbrella that anything Sornex needs, I'm going to do it. Like if it's turning a wrench, hell yeah, let's do it. Yeah. If it's podcasting with people, if it is going out here and networking and finding people that I think fit the mold to be a Sornex guy to come to events and things like that, awesome. If it means I find somebody that's going to buy a weight room for their home or for their gym or whatever it is, that's fine too. Like I'm just out here doing the grunt work because Sornex, I tell people this all the time, and I got to say it on here. Bert Soren, he is the president, and his dad is the founder. And if it wasn't for Bert Soren, I wouldn't be here. Around the worst of my times, I've been working with Sornex just behind the scenes a little bit. And Bert was a guy, I don't even think he knew at the time that I was leaning on him so much, but I would just call and talk to him. And he was a dude that always answered my call. He was a guy that always replied to my text when I was coming from an area where a lot of my sponsors were like, oh, dude, through this injury, we'll do anything you need. They don't call me. They don't answer texts. But as soon as I would get strong again, I would get that call. But Bert was one of the few guys that was consistent. And that just drew me closer and closer to that Sorinex community.
Yeah.
And then I started talking with guys like Rudy Reyes, Derek Woodsky, Brady Cervantes. I mean, just the list goes on and on. But the paramount person in that conversation was a woman named Ingrid Markham. She was an Olympic athlete, or she was an Olympic bobsledder, Olympic weightlifter. And I'd seen her 100 times at Sorinex, never really talked to her. She's a super at kind of like one of these super educated coaches, 15 letters behind her name kind of deal. And she was just intimidating because I was a guy that was under the bar. She was a guy that studied the bar, or a person that studied the bar. And I just always thought she was going to expose how little I actually knew. But I ended up talking to her at this event in Nashville, and she just encouraged me to go closer to Sorinex. She encouraged me to be closer with people that were going through struggle. And I started to find out all these athletes and all these guys from special forces, the majority of our life has been about the climb, right? We go up, we go higher, we push forward, we push more. Well, 85% of the deaths that occur on Everest are on the come down. Yeah. Because people push too high. You know, it's the story of Icarus, right? Yeah. We get these beautiful wings and we want to fly. God, that sun looks so good. And we just keep flying. So we burn out. And then we don't know what the fuck to do. We don't know how to get back down. And I think that was a lot of my story. And I started connecting that story to more people at Sorinex and like, okay, their lives look pretty good. Well, then you find out they look good, but they're still putting the pieces back together. Yeah. And understanding that I'm not alone in this was such a huge thing for me. Sorinex is such a pivotal component of my recovery as far as a human being. I got to give them props. And I know that, like, I'm not trying to make this an advertisement. People ask me what Sorinex is. At face value, we're an exercise equipment company. We outfit the Chicago Bears, the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys, the LA Lakers, the Red Sox, the Yankees. Like, we got that side covered. But the reason we have that covered is because we are a people community. Yeah. We absolutely look after, take care of people, bring them in, facilitate them to be better human beings.
I'm trying to get you guys on the set of the Mayans because we work out and we have this small little gym set up, and I'm like,
guy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna try and get them to work together and make it happen, man. Because we show up every day and we work out together as a team. You know what I mean?
Well, the cool thing is we've got experience in that world, and I'm not trying to make this a sales call right now, but we are probably, our strongest point is understanding footprint. Yep. We understand that on a set, space is limited, space is valued. So if we could create something for you guys that makes sense, that was compact enough to fit the space required, but also diverse enough to allow you to do anything you want to do. That's our vision for everybody. Yeah. Like we're not out here to sell you 50 racks if you need 20. Yeah. If we can make that 20 work like 50, that's our option. That's why we came up with that, the jammer arm belt squat. Yeah. We sell a belt squat. We'll sell you belt squats all day long, but most coaches only can afford the space of one or two of those. Yeah. Every coach that we sell to at the collegiate professional level has those jammer arms. Yeah. Well, now we can get 2 belt squatters per rack, right? So we can have 40 guys on 20 racks squatting at the same time. Whereas, okay, I just sold you 2 belt squats. You got 2 guys going at a time. So even if it means cutting off our nose to spite our face to better the customer, we're going to do that. Yeah. We're talking about a $3,000 belt squat versus a $295 attachment for something you already own. Yeah. Right. So yeah, definitely. Like that's something that we could, I would be excited, not to say, oh, we were on the Mayans. I mean, we do some really cool stuff, but because I know you now, like I would love to help you out. So that's what we're all about, is just this innovation and creation and production and stuff. It's a really exciting part of me when I find these moments where I can facilitate a need, because that's all I want to do. I just want to help people. I just want to make people better. I don't get paid on sales. I don't get paid on anything. I do my job and they take care of the rest. So I'm enjoying life, man. It's good, man. Great place. Dude,
and just from outside looking at, you're looking good, dude. Like I see, it looks good. I'm like, jealous as fuck. I'm gonna get there, bro. I gotta get my shoulders a little bit bigger on this call. I'm looking at the video. I'm like, all right, I need work on here. But hey, man, we're coming up on our hour.
I'm gonna keep you accountable. I got your cell phone. I'm gonna keep you accountable every day. I'm gonna ask you what you did.
I'm gonna get on it. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna get on it. But why don't you let some of the listeners know where they can find you, man, so they can check you out if they don't.
All right. So my primary, everything that I have is Brandon Lilly 3 or some variation of that. I think it's Lilly Brandon 3 on Twitter. I'm not really active on Twitter. I got an account when everybody said to get an account. Facebook is Brandon Lilly. My sports page is Brandon Lilly Powerlifter. But primarily, just to be real, I got a YouTube channel. Haven't done anything with it in a while, just because it became like a rat race trying to post things. And Instagram seems to have a really good feedback there. I get a lot of good communication with people. I don't know why. I get more direct messages. I think because a lot of the stuff that I talk about is kind of heavy laden. It's more personal. Yeah. So I don't get a lot of comments on some of the deeper stuff. I get plenty of comments, but a lot of my conversation happens in the DMs, and then that can progress to emails, and then that sometimes even progresses towards becoming a client. Because 5 years ago, if you looked at all my clients, it was very much like, okay, we'll get you stronger. I don't care about your personal life. I don't care about how bad this sucks. You got stronger. Shut the hell up. Now it's like, okay, we might not get stronger in this stage of your life, but we're going to get better as a human. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about a movie that you saw and you loved. And I'm going to give them articles, because I live by 3 tenets. I think about 5 of the smallest things that I can be thankful for the day before. Like I'm not thankful that I got a roof over my head. I'm not thankful. I mean, I am, but those are easy, right? Yeah. Like I try to think about the person that held a door for me, or I try to think about the person that just nodded their head walking down the street, because they don't have to acknowledge me in Atlanta. Yeah. Like I'm in a big city. You can just put those blinders on and just walk straight forward, and somebody look at you and say, "How you doing, man?" Like, to me, those are small things of gratitude. The next thing is I want to be better than I was yesterday. If that's learning a new song on guitar, if that's listening to a podcast, if that's reading an article, if it's just sitting still with my phone off for an hour, I got better. And then the other thing is to help a complete stranger. That can be as simple as, like I said, holding a door, speaking to somebody. Dude, one of my softest spots in the world is for homeless people, because I won't classify myself as a street dweller, but in the pursuit of powerlifting, so many times I've slept in my truck. I've slept in the bed of my truck just because I didn't have money for other things. When I was trying to make a name for myself doing seminars, I didn't really have money to get to the seminar. Yeah. So I would be sleeping in my truck, taking a shower at the gym before the seminar, doing the seminar, and having enough money to get back home. Like there are many, 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 many nights that were like that. Just trying to become somebody that if you could hear my story, it might be good enough to come back and listen again. You know what I mean? So I have a real soft spot for homeless people. And dude, you give some of those people bottled water, or you go in and buy them a slice. We got a place in Lexington called LA Gourmet. They sell pizza by the slice. Dude, a whole pizza's $10. There's 5-6 people always sitting outside there. You walk around that corner with a pizza and say, "Here, guys, just want you to share this equal." You know, like, what the fuck, man? What's $10 for people that are out there? And like, I don't care what their problem is. I don't care if they're a drug addict. I don't care if they're an alcoholic. They're a human being. And I have been so fortunate in places where when I was at rock bottom, I don't think I've ever told this story. I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever told this story, but I was so lonely at points in my life. I would find homeless people, or I would find working girls, and I would say, "Just go to Waffle House with me. I'll buy you a meal. Just talk." So I would take these people in, and I think it was a selfish endeavor at first. I think I wanted to hear people's lives that were worse than mine to make me feel better. Like I think I've identified that's what it was. But what it actually made me see is like, man, any one of us can get a phone call that would devastate us. Any one of us can not be able to pay a bill. You know, any one of us can be in this same situation, because more often than not, I sat down with some schizophrenics. I sat down with some people that were just shitty people. But at the end of the day, the majority of them, the vast majority of them, were just people that got lost. Yeah. People that couldn't find their way. And I am so thankful that there was a Bert Soren that saw me before I got that far, you know, that saw me before there was no tomorrows, and believed in me and gave me that. So I just got this tattoo, and it's a circle within a triangle. And the reason I have that is because life is circular. No matter how high you are, you're going to fall. No matter how low you get, you're going to rise. But people try to angle you in and look at you from all these angle points to try to define who you are. They don't know who I was yesterday. They don't know who I am tomorrow. They just know me today. And if you kick me when I'm down today, you're never going to see the good of tomorrow. So I would rather try to give these people some hope, and it's not all the time, but dude, if I got $10 in my pocket, if I can make somebody's day better, if I can give them a little bit of hope that humanity isn't all bad, we're both winners walking away from that. You know what I mean? And that's just how I try to live my life, man. If I can make anybody's day better, that's one day better than they had, you know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I love it, man. It's been awesome to watch you. It's been awesome to become friends.
Yeah, dude.
And hopefully, you know, we get to grow this relationship more. And I'd love to be able to have a gym session with you. And just because I respect the gym so much and I love it. I do. It's a big part of my life. And it's just cool to be around people who have been so accomplished, but also where you're at now in life is super dope to watch. So I appreciate you even taking the time to be on my podcast.
Oh, dude, we're going to do this again this week.
Yeah, we are. And in a couple of days, I'll be jumping on Sornex, right?
Yeah, you'll be flip-flopping with me.
There it is.
We'll get a picture of us here podcasting. Yeah. Got it.
All right, brother.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I really do.
I appreciate you too.
I did it